Better?
Yeah.
All right.
All right, we are live. Yeah, in June they got the Second Amendment Foundation's having a march over there at Lansing too, Dan.
Right, and that's the one MGO sponsors.
Yeah, I think MGO's in on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to go to that one as well. Usually they do that during the weekday. I think you told me this actually. Didn't you tell me?
The first one we went to was during the week, and it was a cold day, if you remember right.
Yeah. But they do it on a weekday because the state Congress is in session.
Right.
I think you told me that.
Right, because they was going to, the first one we went to, they was going to go up and talk to all the congressmen and all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know how good those things do other than just showing,
Without any news coverage, it never happened. You have to cover it. So, something has to be covered, whether it's us on our own videos or the news. I contacted all the local news around there, Detroit news. I don't think anybody covered it.
Nah.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see how that rally comes out next, what is it, couple, 2 or 3 weeks out in Washington with all them young people out of Florida getting that big hodgepodge going out there.
Yeah, it would not be hard to get more kids who are pro-gun. It would not be hard to find kids that are pro-gun. These kids are getting all the attention, but it could very easily go the other way as well. It just cracks me up because people are like, "Oh, listen to the children, listen to the kids. Oh, the kids." Now I'll give them this: they went through a lot. There's no question about that. But they do not have the authority on the subject. That's for sure. I mean, they really don't know what's going on.
That's what me and a guy at work was talking about the other day. I thought, these kids are just barely getting out of puberty.
Yeah.
And they're wanting to make policy. That's just BS.
Yeah. And they're lecturing everybody on how things should be. It's a total joke.
Well, last week they was eating Tide Pods.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and then they'll jump into the ring, and then when an adult comes back and puts it straight, then they're going to be like, "Well, it's disgusting that I would be attacked by a kid being attacked by an adult."
Yeah, it's like which way do you want it? You want everybody just to listen to you as if what you have to say is the truth. It's the way it should be, and you want respect, but you cannot respect the opposing opinion. That's the liberal. I'm not saying all these kids are liberal. They don't even know, but that's the liberal mentality right there. Respect me while I tear you apart, and that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, but if you call me out on it, you're being a big meanie.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'll stand in the corner with their hands over their ears and stomp, but yet they're responsible enough and educated enough to tell us how to live and tell us about the Constitution and what it means and what it doesn't mean. And it's like, your kids and even the adults that's jumped the bandwagon. It's like you don't want to look at facts. You don't want to look at any facts.
No facts.
You just want to scream and holler. It's the big bad gun based on no facts, no nothing. I mean, you can throw numbers at them. 4 times as many people stabbed than they are shot with a rifle, period, in the United States. And 35,000 people were killed with cars. We ain't banning cars. I mean,
right.
I want to talk. I want to talk about every single kid that reported that shooter, who said that he's about ready to flip out, that he threatened me, he said this, he said that. Those are the kids that need some airtime, because you look at that Broward County sheriff out there, you know, talking about gun control and everything else. And here we go again. Common sense gun control. That's what his office did everything they could to screw this thing up. And this guy's going to preach to us.
I saw an interesting article about him today, where apparently he was like a big advocate of in mosque of supporting concealed carry for Muslims in mosque, but then now, like teachers, he's totally against that. That would just be wrong. It's just bizarre about this guy. He's an odd fellow, I'll tell you.
Oh, he's a real loser, this guy. You know, now I get not everybody storming the building. I get that you have to have people outside to protect the kids that are getting evacuated in case the shooter comes out. I get you need to have some people stationed outside. That seems normal. It seems right. But when you have like hardly anybody going in because you were told to stand down and be away, and they failed on so many levels, that just being one of them. And now he's making speeches about banning firearms. That guy needs to go, and he ought to be arrested.
Yeah, I can't see how he's still got a job. I don't get it.
It makes no sense to me either.
But TR, you were talking about like cars and stuff killing more people. I was reading something else today about farm animals like horses and cows and pigs kill way more people than like all rifles each year. It's just, but I don't see the outrage. You know, what about these farm animals out there?
Yeah.
You know, just as
well, I mean, no matter, even though there has been a few tragedies in the last year or so, they're terrible. It's awful. But all of us know there's still only about 300 people, there might be a little over 300 people killed each year with a rifle, period. It could be a 22, a 30-06, or AR. Yeah, there's a tragedy, but, you can't just ban something and think, we just know it's just ridiculous, and we know it, but nobody wants to talk facts when they talk about all this. They bringing the kids out and talking about the ghost guns that shoot 30 rounds a second and blah, 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 just on and on, the ignorance they show. And it's just, and then nobody's calling them out. Well, less news ain't anyway. It's frustrating.
All right, guys, everybody's here. I want to do a quick introduction right quick. Then I'll give you guys a chance at the end for your outtakes, whatever you want to talk about. But we got Dan, the firearm guy. You can't see his face. He's hidden.
Nope.
He must not have shaved tonight.
Nope.
Got Daniel, got as my judge. Pop's Quest, Rich 1911. Almost said 4150. Well, it might be 4150 tonight. Who knows with him? And TR Prepper. So, you guys put a comment over there. I'm just watching the side chat. Of course, everybody's probably subbed each other anyway, but just throw something out there if somebody new comes in there so they can click on you and give you a sub, and you do the same thing for them. Okay, back to where was that?
I think we're all in agreement that this whole thing is a big farce.
Yeah, bees and hornets, they kill a lot of people too. It's rough. It really is, and those are tragedies as well. And I don't understand why it's death is a death. So where is the outrage? I'm not sure that people are really caring and being genuine when they want to talk about helping our society, when they just focus like this tunnel vision and that one straight at the AR-15 basically.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Rich. We was talking about it at the gun club the other day. Okay, AR 30-round magazine. They want all this dropped down to 10 round. Is those 10 people's lives more valuable or less valuable than the 30? I mean, what difference does it make if 10 people get killed or 30 people? It's still a tragedy.
Yeah.
No matter how you look at it, if one person out of that batch gets killed, it's a tragedy.
I'd like to bring up two subjects, and y'all, we can take them through the night, however you want to do it. But one, I don't know how many of y'all are subscribed to Uzi 9mm. He did a video about magazine capacity and why it doesn't matter. And I think he was spot on there. It's something I've kind of thought about before. When you're engaging a soft target and you can reload magazines, we've all seen, like myself in a competition shooter, reloading magazines is the easy part. When you're being fired upon by somebody, it's more difficult. So magazine capacity doesn't matter when you're engaging a soft target. And then my second question or topic is, can you really be friends with a liberal that's anti-gun? I'm going to go ahead and say, and we can talk about this, but I don't think you ultimately can in the long haul, like friends for life, like really true. You can have acquaintances and you can, like, your kids can play together and shit like that. But can you really have a liberal friend when they are doing what they're doing to the Constitution?
You could tolerate, maybe, if you have to.
That's a good way to put it. And I tolerate a few for different reasons, and but I just, I understand each other, we get along. That really only comes down to conservatives just giving into liberals and like listening to them bitch and whine and moan and pitch a fit. That's all it boils down to.
Pretty much. Yep.
Well, and the thing that gets me about it is that it's not authentic and it's not genuine. They're not ever really trying to. They don't truly care about the issue. They see something that they feel is a point that their constituency will vote for, and that's what they're going to throw out there. And it doesn't matter what's said back to them, what facts put in front of them. They will continue to go back to that point. Like, I watched a brief thing. I think it was Jerry Brown was on something. The governor of California was, something had happened in the last couple of days, and they were talking to him about, well, what do you think about this? And he would not even begin to touch the subject. The only thing he would say is, well, you've seen that Trump has all these people that have lied in his administration or whatever, and would not even talk about what the subject was. But it's just, they're just completely ridiculous. It's all talking point for a vote and for their crowd. I think there are some, on the right side, at least me, I'm pretty in the middle. I really am. I'm more moderate, probably leaning conservative, but I have a lot of moderate kind of ideals, and I can listen to somebody. It doesn't mean I'll agree with it, but I could listen to it and address it and talk to them about it.
Now, to address Pop's, question also is about, can you be friends with the liberals? Okay, not just friends, but what about liberal family members? And these people, they have their ideas. Whether it's a friend or even a family member, say at a cousin's, in-law, whatever, and they are so staunch in their views and opposed to yours. If you let it get into your home, it could just get in there and poison your family. And eventually, you're just going to have to cut those ties. I mean, once it gets to a certain point.
Yeah, I have family members, like literally close family members, that are full on liberal. Like they will tell you, I don't think guns should even exist, straight up. And I have to, it's a family environment. So we kind of mentally go our own separate ways. But you can't really go there with family. So that's why I really wanted to direct the question towards friends, because family is a different ballgame. You can't screw your family, because let's just say there was SHTF or something like that, those people that don't believe guns should exist will be saying, "Can you give me a damn gun? Because I'm about to die." You know, I mean, they're going to come around real quick. But when it comes to friends and whatnot, that's kind of where I'm like, man, you know, we got people in the neighborhood that my kids play with, and they, they come in and they're like, "Oh, you got guns around. I don't want my kids in your house." And I'm like, "Well, can you protect my children while they're down at your house?" You know, and so it gets to be a thing, you know, and I don't know. I just figured it'd be a decent topic. I don't know.
It's very emotional and it's very hard. My personal experience and choice for one of our family members is completely have cut all ties because they were just that radical. I mean, this is a social worker, even, you
Yeah.
know, brought up through the whole.
Oh, they're very liberal there. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I'll address that. I think that their views on guns spill over into other things, and I don't personally. I don't. My daughter goes over nobody's house who I don't know. No sleepovers, nothing like that, because I don't trust these people are going to have the same value system, especially if they're liberal, or I don't know if they're smoking dope. I don't know if they talk like trash around the kids. I don't know. And the fact that I don't know means that it's not happening. She has friends over our house, and we'll see. But that's where I stand on that one.
And I know it varies state to state depending on where you live. But with so many states with concealed weapon, open carry, what do these people do when they're in Walmart or a bank and there's an armed guard? I mean, if just the thought of a gun in a room just absolutely scares the crap out of them, how do they function in life? Where do they shelter their kids, like take them to school and then just back home? And well, we can't go to Walmart because there's people carrying guns in there. I mean, it's such a ridiculous thing that, oh, there's guns there, just like the school, letting teachers be armed if they so choose and go through training. What difference is that than going into a mall or anywhere else? There's armed people there.
They will trust a stranger that they do not know. Could be somebody right out of another country. They trust that person to be honest and safe and have dignity more than they will somebody like us to have a firearm. It's so backwards. It's maddening.
My answer to that question for Pops is it kind of goes along the line with Tool Monkey out there. I don't really have any friends. and if I did, they would most likely have a similar mindset to me. I mean, you guys are my friends, and I've met some of you all personally, and y'all are great. But people around here, I pretty much washed my hands of everybody I ever knew.
I got a handful of friends. That's it. I got associates at work, and then I got a handful of friends. Tool Monkey's one of my friends, like actual friend.
Well, Dan,
he's one of the few.
Well, Dan's in the same boat as me. You got children, you're going to have to interact with other families, and that's where it starts.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
my point is to her, she sat me down in my own house and told me I'm cleaning guns or something. Her kids come over, she drops them off, and oh shit, the guns. Please, next time my kids come over, please have all the guns put away. And I'm like, well, I do carry a gun on me at all times, and they're not loaded. I'm cleaning them and whatnot. And I may have told this story before, but my point is, if someone break into this house, I will defend the child, right? I would shoot someone that was trying to harm your child. When my kids are at your house and someone breaks in, what is your plan to defend my child?
I say that often. What is your plan? And if I hear that's not going to happen, that basically tells me they have no plan, and that it's probably a house that your kid or my kid or anybody else's should not be in.
Right. It's never going to happen to me is the worst thing you can ever think of, because
those people shitting on fire extinguishers, they shitting on phones and call 911. I mean, if you got a fire, do they have a smoke detector in their house? Because if stuff happens. If you are not worried that something could happen, you wouldn't be prepared for it. It ain't no different with guns.
Yep.
I had a black bear walk through my yard about 5 years ago. It ain't necessarily two-legged critters you got to worry about, depending on where you live.
Now, armed guards in school and arming your teachers, you know what the far left is really afraid of? Because anybody that's going to be armed in school, they're going to be properly screened. They're going to be properly trained. So they're going to have a good character. They're afraid of a good, positive role model that these kids are going to be exposed to in school.
Well, another point too is like part of that Parkland, I think, was they've got, and I forget the name of the program, but it was some Obama thing where they were trying to get less kids getting arrested and in legal difficulty. And so a part of it would be if you had somebody, more security around, there's going to be people that are going to see these things and put a stop to it. And, so that's going to bring the legal piece back into it.
And they're also afraid that little Miss Jones, who's at the tail end of her career, who's been teaching for 35 years, is going to be walking down the hall with a 1911 on her side. And, she's going to freak out if some kid gives her a hard time. That's the stuff that I'm hearing, So I'm worried they're going to shoot a student. They're going to get mad and shoot a kid. That's what I'm hearing.
And then it gets back to everyday life. All of us carry, open or concealed. We know the numbers. There's a bunch of them out of South Carolina. There's a buttload of people with concealed weapon permits. There's yet to be one that whipped one out and shot somebody because they got mad.
Yeah.
I think the numbers are almost zero of concealed weapon permit holders committing crimes. I don't know the stats offhand, but it's almost zero.
Yeah, I think it's like right on par with like with law enforcement as far as people using their weapons for a crime.
Yeah, it's the thing about statistics is you can use them to prove anything. You just have to learn how to pull the right numbers. My middle daughter was talking to us the other day about this walkout that these kids are going to do at the schools in protest of gun violence. And we're kind of listening to what she's saying. We didn't want to say a whole lot, and we're like, well, what's your plan? What are you going to do? And oh man, it's nice when you have friends over that moon you from the pool. But anyway, I just I kind of was like frozen, like, oh God, what's she gonna choose? What's she gonna choose? I said, well, so what exactly are they protesting? Well, gun violence. I said, well, aren't we against all violence? Well, yeah, I guess we should just protest all violence. Well, why are they just protesting gun violence? Well, I don't know. Well, maybe it's because they don't like guns. Well, maybe gun violence, I said, well, I pulled my gun off, I kind of did like this, and I set my gun right there, and I said, is that gun violent? No, that gun's not violent. I said, well, am I violent? No, I'm not. You're not violent. I said, so it would take a violent person to make that gun violent, right? So maybe they're just anti-gun. Maybe they just don't like the guns, And I just, at the end of the conversation, I just said, you know what? I said, if you want to protest something, make damn sure you know what the hell you're protesting. Because people will play you. They will just pull you, just like they're doing these kids on TV. And I refuse to watch any of those interviews. I'm not even going to be a part of it. But I've heard of all these, using these kids to play their little game. I'll explain to my kids enough where they'll know, no, I ain't going down that road. That's bullshit.
Yeah, and you had mentioned that you could get any survey. You could get any poll to get the results you want based on how you ask the question. You know, do you feel it's right that an 18-year-old kid can go buy a rifle and walk into his school and shoot people? Well, no, I don't think it's right. Okay, anti-gun. There you go. It's all how you ask the question.
Yeah, they roll three things in there. Yeah, right.
Yeah. How is, well, you know, like I said, I'm preaching to the choir, but it's already illegal to go into a school and shoot it up. And if they're gun free, they broke the law to start with. When they walked on the campus with a gun, they committed a crime when they started shooting people. What is a law going to stop? So anybody that's wanting to kill people, shoot people, rob people, they're going to do it. They've already committed to breaking the law. What law's going to stop it? They got some fantasy that they'll actually remove all the guns in the United States.
No. All these new laws have done nothing but make it easier for the criminal and lessen their jail sentence. Like, you know, what happened in California. They took off the automatic 5 years added to any crime involving a gun. But here they make more restrictions on people who are good citizens from buying guns. All these laws are just making it easier on a criminal and less penalties.
Yeah, that same law in California made it illegal for teachers to carry a gun. Yeah, absolutely.
Man, a lot of good people in California. The majority of the land in that state is conservative. It's those big cities that just screw those guys over.
Yep, it sure is.
So I would be so frustrated. My goodness. And these
Large
guys are
population centers are bad for several reasons, and that's one of them, because they control the state. They have them over the barrel, and that's not right.
no. Those guys, they're working their tails off. And every time I hear somebody say, "Well, you know, you guys did it to yourself," no, they didn't. They didn't do it to themselves. These guys are just like us. They got a raw deal. They're being basically controlled by a bunch of liberals who keep voting in liberals. They're getting totally screwed, and they're told to, you know, back down, shut up, and deal with it. And they're watching guys like us, you know, purchase guns, enjoy them, practice, train, have the capacity we want, have the guns we want. They have to choose from a list that is so scaled down, and then have a 10-day waiting period, and hope that the gun they chose has a magazine with under 10 rounds. It's unbelievable. And pay additional taxes on the gun itself and the ammo.
That's right. I forgot about that part. Yep.
Yeah, it's phenomenal what they have to go through, and I give them credit. And if I could support them, I would. But they really got a raw deal.
Then unless you're like SoCal out there, and you can, he's found ways to get like the most incredible weapons imaginable using the system. But yeah, it's.
Yeah, but you know what? He's had to pay a lot more than what the market is really going to bear for those guns. Just like I said, it's not necessarily tax; it's a private tax, because there's so few of those in that state because of how they get brought in that the price is like blown up, and that's not right either.
Yeah. And to top it off, they can't, you know, to get a carry permit is very difficult, and the additional taxes on the guns and ammo and all the hoops you have to jump through. It's, I don't know. You guys already heard.
Yeah, just maybe SoCal could put in the comment section, but I want to say like a PO9 goes for like over $1,000 in California.
Yeah, he was saying you can't even really get one. You've got to get one that's like been grandfathered somehow or some crap, and it's got to be somebody there, you know, that's already had it and is selling it, like law enforcement or something, and then you can buy it, and yeah, it's like ridiculously priced.
Well, this is how California. So law enforcement officers, the guys that are supposed to be of and by and for the law, drive to Arizona, buy all these guns, drive back to their house, put them in their safe for 6 months, and then sell them.
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah. They make criminals out of them. You're basically making straw purchasers.
These are the guys that are enforcing the laws, that are intentionally straw purchasing these guns and selling them on the open market. And California has all these gun laws. I don't get that for a fucking minute, you know?
Now, a point about the whole thing where, I mean, out in California, where the most of the land is owned by conservatives, but the three big major cities override them. I mean, look where your most taxes are being raised. I mean, the highest increase is property taxes. I mean, the big cities are getting a break, but the people that got the farms and the ranches, they're just being taxed out of existence.
They get it where they can get it. They get it where they know they can get it. And if you have a population of people, you ain't gonna get them because you ain't gonna get it. You got people out there that think are well going to hammer them hard. I mean, that's. I think California should die. Sorry, SoCal.
If there was ever a state that should split, California's it for sure.
So big. Think about it, you know.
Yeah, it should easily be probably 4 or 5 states, and you know, yeah. But even then, they'd still have more votes because of the millions of liberals that live in the L.A. and whatnot.
I hope y'all are looking at the price he's putting out in the side chat for these guns.
Ridiculous, that's for sure.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So I guess the free market is alive and well, which is good. But man, so I told him, I told SoCal, I said, man, if you ever move, make sure you sell all your guns to Californians before you leave, because the minute you go somewhere else, you can buy them for half price. Don't take them with you. Sell them there. You know, get all your damn money, and then move, and then buy them for half price.
Okay, guys, go ahead.
Oh, you're fine. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, it ain't really changing the subject, but what was you guys' first impression of that big summit that they had last week when Trump brought up all of this stuff about what he's going to do, blah, 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 and that confiscate the guns, then worry about due process. What was minute you heard that, what was your first reaction to it? Mine was, my God, what did he just say?
I'm embarrassed to say I didn't hear it. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a man. I don't at it. I don't do it web or nothing. So y'all have to fill me in. I'm not sure about all that.
I think, well, Trump's proven it time and time again. And I don't think I think sometimes he misspeaks. He speaks about subjects he's not versed in. That was kind of my hoping that was the case. But at the same time, Trump plays three-dimensional chess with the media, with liberals, with conservatives, with everybody. And he throws big ideas, sometimes crazy ideas out there. And then he'll back up and get everybody talking. You're like, oh, no, can't do it. Just like the tariffs. He threw it out there. Hey, we're going to do this. And now it's already come out. Well, Canada and Mexico may get an exclusion. It may not be 25%. It's just a way to get negotiations happening. We're not used to that tactic. And I think sometimes it's just the way he is. But I will admit, I was kind of irritated at it. But at the same time, I know that's the game he plays.
The very first thought that popped in my head was that I just thought that this man will say anything to whoever in front of him he thinks they'll like. You know, if he thinks that the person sitting in front of him is going to approve that, he'll say it. And then, but like TR said, I mean, when it goes down the road, then, you know, as time goes by, he does seem to get more clear on things.
There's just so many things that's going on, not in Washington, and with, you know, all your financial banking and all this. This is just one little piece of the whole thing. And I mean, the whole thing, every time we give something up, it's just a little more control that they have and a little bit more loss of our freedom. This is just one little thing of the whole picture.
The thing that excited me most about that, and I didn't catch all of it, was Dianne Feinstein. If you've seen the reaction on her when he was talking about if Congress or the ATF didn't do something with the bump stock, he would do an executive order. And all of this stuff, it was just right up her alley. I thought to myself, he must have snuck some Energizer batteries in her vibrator, because she probably ain't had that much excitement in years, being 80 years old. Yeah, just the way she was so giddy, it was like a teenage girl seeing her first male member, you know? She was just excited as heck. I'll never forget the look on her face. I wish she was smiling. I was like, yeah, Mr. President, you're talking right up my alley now.
I'm trying to figure out if we're on a Trees of Blowing chat right now. Holy crap.
Oh, yeah, I got some kind of a warped sense of humor sometimes. But I did. If you could find that video and watch the expression on her face, I mean, she, yeah, just excited as heck, you know, looking at him.
Yeah,
I'll find it on YouTube somewhere. I'll find it.
it's
Give me your first thoughts the next time I see you on what you thought about that.
There's a clip in one of the intros to one of the videos I did last week that has her on that pretty much climaxing, you know, with Trump's.
I think I saw that. Yeah, she was like all like was she sitting on this side of Trump?
Yeah,
right next to
his left side.
Yeah, I saw that. That's where I saw that on Rich's video. It's like a little snippet.
Yeah,
I thought she was hammered, like drunk or something.
She was in seventh heaven, I think.
All right, I'll go try to find the raw footage. That should be interesting.
There's the expression.
You know, they're upset with her in California because she's not liberal enough. She's going to have a primary challenge for that seat because she's not liberal enough, and there's somebody running against her who is ultra liberal. Like she's ultra liberal, but in their eyes, she's a moderate, and they're saying that it's going to be highly contested.
I don't think you can unseat someone like her that's been around that long. They don't play that game, you know.
It'll be hard.
Yeah,
but that's what they're saying. I don't know if it's fake news or just the liberal spin on it.
And I'm not sure it'll really matter. You know what I mean?
No, she's party line.
Yeah, not to you and me. It really matters.
Yep. Well, anybody get new guns? Oh, sorry, Trees. Go ahead.
That's all right. I was just getting ready to say, let's get off of that part of the politics part of it and just go into some guns or reloading or some of that stuff.
Hey, I want to talk about these right here. Y'all see those?
Yep.
Any of you guys wear reading glasses like I do and shoot and have a hard time shooting and worried about, you know, this and that and the other thing? If y'all go out, I want to tell you this right now. I've been dealing with eyesight, front sight, and shooting glasses like you have no idea for the last year, like trying to figure out what works. And if you wear like 1.5s or 1.75s and you're reading, right? When you buy shooting glasses, these are 0.75s. And you may say to yourself, well, why 0.75s? Well, you're holding the gun like clear out here, right? So keep in mind, because these right here, I'm fixing to do the final test. Actually, it's not these; it's these ones right here. These are the full. These are the full lens 0.75s. You can see them right there. And I was using these just the top focal, where it has the little. Can y'all see that little focal at the top? But when you use these top focals, when you bring that sight up, you can't see it until it's like almost on target. So I recommend, this I guess will be my review, go with a lower magnification but full lens, because you can see the sight the whole time you're bringing it up on target. So that's good gun shit right there. Y'all can appreciate that. And they're only 10 or 12 bucks on eBay, so free shipping. So
nice. I'm gonna have to try some of those because I definitely got the eye issues.
What I've noticed is when people have that exact same problem, they learn to shoot with a dot, and they say that kind of solves it. You could adjust the brightness of the reticle, and one guy in particular, he was telling me, he said, I can't shoot a handgun. My handgun, my rifle, totally different, you know, and he used the dot on his handguns and says problem solved.
Well, when you're shooting competitively USPSA and you don't want to shoot, carry optics,
yeah,
you have to be able to acquire target real fast. You have to have the right eye set up for front sight target, this and that and the other thing. And not only that, shooting 3-gun, you put on 0.75s and you look through a scope, you better have that scope set up right. So that's the other thing.
Yep.
Look through your scope. If you're going to shoot a pistol with those glasses on, pick up your rifle and get that rifle scope set up, because it's a different ball game. You got to have it set up. And then you got the total package, but make sure it's set up before you pick it up, to go shoot with it. And they're awesome. It's a $10 godsend, quite honestly.
So they're actually, what did you say, you got them off of Amazon or something like that?
I mean, eBay.
And they're 0.75 magnification.
Yeah, they're made by this company called Vex. And don't do like I did. I ordered 5 pairs, 4 readers. They only have the thing in the box. Make sure you get the ones that are the full lens magnification or something like that. And because it's important to lower the magnification down to where, like, all of us that get readers, you keep holding the book further and further out until you need to get glasses, then you bring it in. Well, a handgun's always going to be that far out. So if you're like me wearing 1.75s, these 0.75s are perfect when the gun is extended. So and the good thing about the lower magnification is now you can see what's around you and walk and move without tripping. But if you try to shove these 1.75 on your face and walk downstairs, you probably break your damn neck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I need to get some more, but I use bifocal safety glasses at work, and I went to the top. Now, this ain't shooting, but I went to the top because just what you're talking about, as far as like walking up steps and stuff, I tripping all over myself because I killed my peripheral vision. Everything's blurry down there. I mean, if I'm reading, I need it. I'm reading blueprints. I need those glasses, but walking and whatever, I'll fall. I'll fall down,
Yeah, you get used to it after a while. I've worn glasses since I was 9 years old, so.
Well, I guess when you're used to wearing glasses, it's one thing, but when I've had 20/20 vision my whole life, and then as I get older, you need readers, and there's a ton of guys out there, and that's why this is good information to share, because I think a lot of guys that get older struggle with shooting, and they maybe lose interest, or they're like, man, I can't do anymore, or they get discouraged, when really all you have to do is find the right, combination, find the right setup, and you're right back in the game. You're seeing the target and the front sight, and you're doing what you're supposed to do with the pistol, and it works with the rifle if you have it set up right way. I guess the whole idea is just don't let your, don't let your eyesight, getting bad when you get older keep you from shooting and competing and stuff like that.
Yeah, not being able to see doesn't stop me from shooting it off.
Well,
I do a lot of
pointing.
pointing.
Got to call you the blind marksman.
Pretty much.
Hey, I got a question for you guys about these progressive presses. When your loading plate, it rotates and the bearings snap down. How do you keep your powder from jarring and, anything from flying up out of your cases when you're running them things?
Well, I ain't mastered that totally yet with this Hornady myself, Dan.
Now, what do you
the other day about? I had little bits of powder all over the blame thing.
That's what I'm fishing for. Yep, it flops.
Oh, I mean, to me, I ride the handle at a particular rate to get it to settle. It's like, it's like massaging anything else, man. You just slam it and your shit's gonna go everywhere. But if you learn your press, you can massage that rate, at least the one I'm using, to where it just kind of goes zzz, boop. It's kind of like
a rhythm.
Yeah, you gotta learn it. You gotta watch it. You gotta become one. You gotta become one with it, Danielson.
Okay.
and on the Dillons anyway, and I think even the Hornady, your powder measure ain't moving. It's just the shell plate.
Right.
It does index, but it, if you're pulling the handle too fast, you might sling it and make it bump. But if you just do a steady, whatever, it's not a violent. Well, with my 550, I index it myself, but my squared LB, it auto index, and it's not a violent shift. It's just choo.
I'm just so tight, I just don't want to lose those little flakes that get out there.
Plus, if they get on your shell plate, they'll jam it up too.
Well, and I mean, let alone you put your cigarette there on your desk where you're loading, and then you got too many. It's scary.
Well, yeah, mainly the finances. I mean, you look at that thousandth or 100,000ths of a penny, that you lose, and that adds up.
After 1 million pounds, it could cost you 10 or 20 cents. That's big enough. I mean,
heck, just do what I do. Just load one up without any powder. You save all kinds of powder with that.
I went and bought myself one of those there Hornady bullet powder checkers, and there is no instructions on how to set it up or use it. Nothing online.
You set it all the way down to the bottom of the case, and there's a little plug at the top. You run that down to the top of your case. That way, from the bottom to the top is that. And then if it's when you got powder in it, that little O-ring or whatever the thing is, hickey bob on the top, is above your case of your mouth case. That's the way I interpret it.
Oh,
so
you got
what you're saying is Tree should do a video on how to use one of those.
Exactly.
I already have one. I just watched a video on it myself. I can't remember who was doing it.
Oh, I was looking for that video all day today.
That's the good thing about YouTube, man. You could ship any product on the planet without any instructions whatsoever. And on the box, you could just say, search YouTube. Like you find anything about it.
I can't believe how far that primer sent that 147 grain into that CZ barrel. I mean, this thing has got full rifling all the way halfway up this thing. I like to never got that thing beat out of there.
The squibs I've had, it wouldn't chamber another round, luckily. Because the first time it happened, I didn't know what happened. I know it sounded funny, it felt funny, and I tried to rack another round in it, and it wouldn't go. It jammed up, luckily. And it was back when I was using the single stage, and it kind of hit me. I was like, I know what I've done. I said, I bet I got a whole row I missed, in the loading tray. And I had all of it in an ammo can, about 300 or 400 rounds. And it was just like, I looked at the can, and I was like, well, there's 4 more in there, I bet. It was just target ammo, but luckily it wouldn't load another round. Now, I don't know about rifle. Rifle might. I don't know.
41 years of doing the old single press, I never had an issue because the way I always did it, There was no way of not getting a case in, or powder in it, or getting a double charge or anything. But I think Pop made the comment, and when I was making that video the other day, he said something about short stroking, and I think that's where it come in at.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I watched your follow up on that, and you didn't mention nothing. But I know from myself, and I got an alarm on there. Alarm goes off, and you have a little trouble, and you don't pull the handle all the way. You look and see what's up, and you fix something, and then you do this.
Yep.
And you never drop powder in that damn thing, and then you just continue, and it comes around, and damn, you set the bullet and everything, and next thing you know, you got no damn powder in there. And that is the biggest. That's why I did a video about a year ago about squib loads and progressive presses, because you should have a powder check or powder safety check or whatever you want to call it on a progressive, because with me, when I'm sitting there loading progressive and I'm trying to get a lot of ammo, I'm doing this, and that's why I don't sit down when I reload. I stand up and I'm like looking this way, I'm looking that way, and I got this bright super light on everything. But at the same time, I want that rod going down and checking for me, and I want that audible alarm, because I mean, you just never know. I mean, let's say you run out of primers, which I did today. I loaded several hundred rounds and I ran out of primers. And I don't run out of primers until I started, something was wrong with it. I'm like, damn, something screwed up. Then I started looking at powder everywhere, and and the primer the primer thing that goes and pushes the primers, it was laying out there on the freaking bench, and so powder is dumping out the bottom. And so luckily I went through and I found them all, but you can load up a bunch of something before you figure something's wrong. So anything you can put into place that checks you against yourself and double checks and everything is so well worth it.
Yeah, I'll do that every now and then. I'll have one that just didn't have a primer in it for some reason, and I took a couple of weeks ago. I actually went through the whole process with the single stage. I'd powder everything, and it loaded the bullet, and didn't even see it till I just happened to notice it somehow when. I don't even know how I noticed it, but it didn't have a primer in it in one of the 45 autos. It was nuts. So, yeah, I'm just real lucky, I guess. But I check really. Of course, I'm just doing the single stage, and I load up all my rounds in the shell case holder, and then prime. Put the powder in all of them, take a flashlight, go through the whole thing after that, look at each one of them and go through. But even that, somehow that still got through where I had put the powder in it, and apparently checked it, and it didn't come out until, I guess, when I loaded the bullet, I wasn't paying enough attention, and the powder come out as I'm loading the bullet in and put it back in. And
give you a little trick on that, Rich. When you put in your case, of course, 45, when you're doing your primer, put them down with the primer looking up at you, kind of like that. That way you can see all of them that's got the primers. This is for single stages. Don't work for and then when you powder charge one, of course, you flip it up. Now you still got all the primers looking up at you. This one's looking, that's got powder, and of course, you can obviously see it too.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
That way worked for me, because I always made sure when I primed, that mouth was down. That way I know there was no powder in it. And then when I charged it, then it was facing up.
Yeah, I probably need to change the way I do things, because the way I do it is, like, I'll prime hundreds of them. And apparently I'd just taken, and like one of them I'd somehow goofed off and just threw it in there with the box full of primered ones.
Yeah. When I'm loading stuff on a tray, though, I'll prime stuff and I'll put it down, and I'll prime it and put it down. I'll prime it down. I won't even put it in a tray until it's primed. I'll switch from this tray to that tray, and then I'll dump powder in the whole tray. So it's a little different, Don, than what you're doing, but I try to make it safe in a different way. Like, I don't even make it to that tray unless it's primed and it's in that tray, and then I'll dump powder on the whole tray, and then I'll set it down and get a flashlight and look, and then I'll, you know, whatever. I try to change tray with every step. So when I set the bullet and seat it and crimp it, it goes to here. You know what I mean? Every station, I try to move it from one tray to the next, and that's my little way.
Yeah, progressive. You definitely got to be on your toes with them. That's for sure. I've done the same thing a lot, but I've just actually missed the primer station. I've went all the way through, and where's this powder coming from? That was when I first started out. I pretty much got that down now, but.
And I went and bought one of those no-go dies for checking the bullets. And if I would have known that before, I mean, I was able to tune my whole press with one of those, because if it did a little bit of this, oh, I got to go adjust that. I mean, it all depended on how the bullet went in and the length. I was able to tune that whole press in with that.
Yeah, but you can also use a Shadow 2 barrel, because it's the tightest barrel on the planet.
That's what I was using. But I went and I got the top of the line no-go gauge, and I was able to just tweak it in so much better then. But I was using my Shadow 2 barrel.
That's the best way to find out if it's going to chamber.
Yeah, and I mean, if you just take the barrel out and you're using it like that, that's fine. I don't know if I should. Anyhow, I know a guy. First got into reloading, he was doing some 223. And for anybody that hadn't experienced it, if you're not using the hard primers, what is it, CCI 41s, I think I got some in here. The harder primer, AR-15 will slam fire. He was taking his rounds because he'd had a little bit of problems where some of them wasn't chambering. So he would reload and then take load up a mag and then just cycle them through the gun. And he was doing that in his living room watching TV. Boom, it went off. Just a slam fire. Because if anybody owns AR-15, if you unchamber a round, if you look at it, it hits the primer. Just chambering around, it pops it.
Yeah, tiny bit. Yep.
So you're actually supposed to use I want to say it's CCI 41. They're in a white box.
Yeah, I think that's the number on it.
That's their commercial grade rifle primer is probably what it is.
Oh,
the white box commercial. I don't know.
I use the 450 Magnum primers. They're a little bit hotter and a little bit harder. So
okay. I mean, I use normal primers. I probably during the last primer scare and stuff is how I ended up with that commercial box, because sometimes when they was just trying to sell anything they could get their hands on, sometimes you run across boxes not for resale and stuff like that.
So it ain't just paint, SZA, and hopefully you didn't, you would never do this on a full semi-auto. That would be rough. I slam fire. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't. That might fully go semi-auto on you. You never know.
That would be disastrous.
I mean, without a trigger finger, I don't think it'd be a big deal. But if you did have a finger on it, it could be terrible.
So you liking those Tula primers, pops?
I loaded them all day today after I got done with work. So I'm just trying to. I bought them as a impulse buy back when they were, you couldn't find primers. I'm like, well, I can use them for trade or something. And I forgot I had them, honestly. And then I'm like, oh crap, look at all these. And I'm happy with them. They're working. So they're going to be my training round primers. That's basically what it's going to be. So
I had 1,000 of them. I wanted to draw. Well, he was having a drawing out the gun club, and this was back 3-4 years ago when primers was hard to find and they doubled in price and all that stuff. And a guy donated 1,000. So I thought, hey man, that's primers. I'll just grab them. And they work good in the LCR, but I found I probably had 3 or 4 out of the batch total, maybe, that had light strikes on them. But when I've started getting light strikes on my Glock 17, so I changed the hammer spring or the striker spring, and I still get one every once in a while. So I did a little investigating. CCI is a little bit thicker. Your softest and best is Federal, then Winchester, Remington, and CCI, and the Tula was listed as the hardest and all that, and the thickest in the cup. So I know a lot of guys that shoot PPC out there at the club. Of course, they've got their revolvers real light and stuff, and all of them use Federal primers because it won't ignite anything else other than Federal.
Yeah, I read your comment on the video, and I'm only going to use them for training because I figure if I get a malfunction or something, it'll be good training. So, you know, and as much as I shoot at the farm for training, I think it'll, you know, I'll burn them up. I'll eventually burn them up. Might take 5 years, but whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I noticed on your chronograph, they were more consistent than the CCIs.
I don't understand it's the way that the primer is more of an igniter. I don't get it, but yeah, I noticed that too. It was pretty crazy. There was a standard deviation of less than like maybe 10 feet per second versus the other one was like 30, 40 feet per second. I mean, yeah, that was crazy.
I haven't seen the Tula primers around here in quite a while.
They don't make them no more. You can't even buy them.
Oh, don't they? Okay. Well, I would buy them again. I mean, like you say, for training, just range work and stuff.
Yeah, they don't exist no more. I don't know if that's a Russia thing. You know, they banned some stuff from Russia and whatnot. But nah, this is a honey hole because you can't even buy them. You know.
All right, well, guys, it's 10 o'clock. Let me go out to the side chat and give a quick shout out to everybody that got in there. Genius Prepper, he was the first one in. Didn't see more comments from him. I don't know if he's still out there or not. Rich 1911, TR Prepper, Tool Monkey, It Ain't Just Paint, Reloading from the Hot Pot, Pop's Quest, Daniel got his Judge, Crazy Scotsman, Curious Yellow Solar, Papa's Place, HRM Weapons Machinist, Stalker Steve, Alan B. Pro, WTF SoCal, Brizza Gizza, Indiana Patriot, Packing Preacher, Fuzz Fork 8, Nathan 4071, Dish Outdoors, it's always good to see Dish, Prepping to Endure, VBorg 001, PC Bullet Empire. Haven't never seen that name before. Thanks. Glad you stopped in. Maybe somebody else, Al Osborne, just checked in. If I missed anybody, I apologize. I try to keep up with it, but we're going to let these prepare to close here and let these guys do an outro and tell you what they got coming up. Dan, we'll start with you, bud.
All right. Well, good chat. Thanks for having me on once again. Not much going on. Just today I put up a range review of the car P9. Got a couple other things in the cooker. Nothing too exciting. That's about it. I appreciate it. Good chat, guys.
Daniel?
There, I got to unmute myself. Hey, thanks for having me on and thanks for the invite. Right now, I don't have anything going on except I've got more hard targets coming tomorrow. Got to set those up. I just got my press up. And I'm trying to get ready for spring because it's going to be time to put in the garden.
I don't have a whole lot going on. I got a, hopefully if it doesn't thunderstorm and rain on Sunday, I got a USPSA match I got invited to up in Sand Hill Shooting Sports up near Columbia. And I got 2 3 guns coming up, one at the end of the month and one at the beginning of the following month. It's going to be epic. It's going to be literally a battle, which is going to be cool. I can't wait to record that and send that down the pipe. But other than that, no plans, just my normal shenanigans at the farm when I'm there. I'll do what I can, but appreciate you having me on. My favorite gun chat on YouTube, you know, appreciate it. Always enjoy it.
Rich.
Yeah, I'm just going to be reloading a bunch this weekend, so I may make some videos of that process. Some not sure, but I will be doing the chat Saturday night, and it's going to be. I usually don't do this, but I'm going to throw out the theme early. It's going to be zombie box cutter night. So bring your zombie box cutters, and hopefully it'll be a good time.
TR.
Thanks for having me on, Don. As I always enjoy it. Sorry, I'm a little under the weather, so I haven't been as talkative maybe as I sometime am. Yeah, I don't really have anything planned other than I did get a new game camera. I may do a little video on it. I'm going to try to catch those beavers over there at Sonia's place in action. We'll see what happens there.
That'd be cool. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate you jumping in here with me. And, of course, thank everybody out in the side chat. We'll plan on this again in a couple of weeks. And I don't really have anything going up. As soon as the weather breaks, I want to get out there and check out some of these, play with these KCI mags a little bit. But with that, we're going to say good night, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks for coming by.